What you're about to witness is not just a masterpiece of Baroque art, but a work so violent, so unflinchingly brutal that it was banned for 3 centuries. Look closely at Caravaggio's Judith Beheading Holofernes. Here, frozen in time, is the exact moment a sword slices through flesh and sinew. Holofernes, the mighty Assyrian general, lies helpless and naked. His mouth agape in a strangled cry as life drains from his body. Blood spurts from his neck in crimson streams. Above him, the beautiful young widow Judith grips his hair with one hand, while her other hand guides the blade deeper into his throat. Her face shows not triumph, but reluctance, yet she cannot stop. Beside her stands an old servant woman, holding a sack ready to collect the severed head. This isn't a typical Bible painting. This is raw, unforgiving violence captured with photographic realism. But why did this painting terrify churches for display, even though public violence was entertainment during that time? What made it so dangerous that it vanished from history, only to be rediscovered by pure chance? Before diving into the work, it's worth understanding how Caravaggio's life was during that time. His real name was Michelangelo Merisi. He arrived in Rome around 1595, just as the city was undergoing one of its most turbulent periods in history. This was Counter-Reformation Rome, where the Catholic Church was fighting desperately to reclaim spiritual authority after the Protestant revolt had shattered medieval Christianity. People carried swords. They settled arguments with violence. Violence was so commonplace that contemporary records show Caravaggio was arrested at least 11 times. He threw food at waiters. He attacked people in the street. He was a brilliant artist and a violent criminal. But Rome was also changing. The Catholic Church was fighting back against Protestant reforms. They wanted art that inspired religious devotion. Most artists painted divine angels and peaceful saints. Caravaggio did something different. He used real people as models. Street vendors, prostitutes, and beggars became biblical figures. He painted them with shocking realism. Cardinal Francesco del Monte became Caravaggio's patron, who recognized the young artist's revolutionary talent and provided him protection. Here, surrounded by wealth and influence, Caravaggio developed his groundbreaking technique, defining Baroque art. The order for Judith Beheading Holofernes came around 1598 from Ottavio Costa, a wealthy Genoese banker. The biblical story was popular with artists, but no one had ever painted it like this before. Previous artists showed Judith as calm and heroic. They painted her after the killing, holding Holofernes' head like a trophy. Caravaggio chose the worst moment, the actual beheading. All the blood and horror. He made viewers feel like they were watching a real murder. The church wanted inspiring art. Caravaggio gave them nightmare fuel instead. The painting was large, about 5 feet by 6 feet. Too big to ignore, too violent to display publicly. Public violence was so popular at that time that it became entertainment. So why was Caravaggio's painting forbidden? The true genius and danger of this masterpiece lies in what art historians call Caravaggio's theological naturalism. Notice how the light falls across this violent tableau. That dramatic beam illuminating Judith's face and the spurting blood isn't random. It's divine light, suggesting God's approval of this brutal act. But here's what made authorities uncomfortable. Caravaggio has painted Judith not as a triumphant heroine, but as a reluctant killer. Her face shows revulsion, even nausea, at what she's doing. This psychological complexity transforms a simple biblical allegory into something far more disturbing, a meditation on the terrible necessity of violence. Now try to stand farther as the composition traps you. It reveals Caravaggio's revolutionary approach. The three figures form a tight triangle, forcing viewers into intimate proximity with the murder. There's no escape, no distant perspective that might soften the impact. Holofernes' muscular torso, painted with anatomical precision that rivals Michelangelo's sculptures, reminds us that even the strongest man becomes helpless meat under the blade. The red curtain behind them suggests both a theatrical stage and spilled blood. Appropriate, since this was painted in an era when public executions were entertainment. But here's what art historians have long debated. The faces. They believe the faces are personal. Judith looks like Philide Melandroni, a famous courtesan. She was Caravaggio's lover and model. Holofernes looks like Caravaggio himself. If this is true, the artist painted his own execution. The woman he loved is cutting off his head. This makes sense when you know their story. Caravaggio and Philide fought constantly in a violent relationship. In 1598, the same year he painted this, Caravaggio was arrested for attacking a man over Philide. The painting becomes a psychological confession. The artist was facing his own destructive nature. The old woman is probably Anna, Philide's servant. She appears in other Caravaggio paintings. Her expression is the most disturbing part. She's not horrified or excited. She's just practical. This is simply work that must be done as told by the master. Her weathered face shows she's seen too much violence, just like Rome itself during these bloody years. The technical skills are incredible. The blood, painted in layers of vermilion and burnt sienna, has a wet gleam that makes it seem freshly spilled. The fabric textures, from Judith's silk dress to the rough canvas of Holofernes' bed, show the influence of Flemish masters like Jan van Eyck, but applied to subject matter that would have horrified those northern religious painters. This fusion of technical perfection with shocking content created something entirely new in European art. What truly made this painting dangerous was its timing. The Counter-Reformation wanted clear moral messages. Good versus evil. Right versus wrong. Caravaggio painted moral complexity instead. If this was God's will, why did Judith look so sickened by her task? Why did the composition make viewers feel complicit in the violence? These were dangerous questions in an age when religious doubt could mean death. Church authorities understood the painting's subversive power immediately. Unlike his other biblical works that found their way into churches and public spaces, Judith Beheading Holofernes remained in private collections, shown only to trusted visitors. It became, in effect, a banned masterpiece, too valuable to destroy, too dangerous to display. What makes this masterpiece eternally relevant isn't just its technical brilliance, but its honest examination of moral complexity. Caravaggio dared to suggest that even divinely sanctioned violence carries psychological costs, that heroes can be reluctant, that justice might be necessary but never clean or good. In our own era of ongoing debates about justified violence and moral ambiguity, his insights remain present. This masterpiece asks difficult questions. Should art comfort us or challenge us? Can religious stories make us uncomfortable? Caravaggio thought they should. He painted sacred history like real life. Bloody, complicated, and morally messy. What do you think? Should artists show us pleasant truths or difficult ones? Share your thoughts below. If you want more stories about banned masterpieces and dangerous artists, subscribe to our next exploration of art that authorities tried to hide.